Are you serious, guys? Are you serious? Welcome to another installment here. Great guest we have with us today, of course, is Bob Kudla from Trade Genius. And look, and there's the number. You can call the phone number right now if you want to go when we get done with the program. Find out how you can be a part of this and let the genius talk to you. And a couple things before we turn Bob loose here. Gold holds near record high right now as traders are betting on a federal rate pivot. That's one of the reports came out at Bloomberg. Said gold steadied after hitting another record as traders increased their bets on the Federal Reserve rate cuts while weighing the uncertain political outlook in the United States. Gold has soared nearly 20% this year, supported by large purchases by central banks, strong consumer appetite in China, and a demand for haven assets amid the geopolitical tensions. That's Bloomberg. Now, while that's going on, the stock market is at 41,002, which is right at another record high. You got both of these. So how does a person get in and is still able to be profitable in the ups and maybe the downs? And that's why we're going to talk to Bob. Bob, great to have you on the broadcast.
Hey, Paul, thanks for having me. Sorry it took us 3 months to get together. Vacation and technical difficulty, but I'm here. Delighted to be here. Actually, it's a great time because it's going to be a big pivot. It's going to happen here. So, as you know, your audience doesn't need me to remind you that unemployment is creeping up. High-paying jobs are going away. Inflation is kind of bifurcating. Like the things that you want to have, you're seeing deflation already, which is bad news for the companies that produce those products. But the things you want to have and need to have are still sticky high, and you're not able to afford those things. But the stock market is looking at the forward path of the Federal Reserve, and they say looks like 98% chance they'll cut in September, an outside chance they'll cut in July. And so the market is front running that. And that's why the market's popping. And what people have to remember is when they make that first rate cut is actually the death knell for the stock market for that cycle.
Really?
Yeah, because it's basically an admission that the economy is rolling over. And remember, stock values are associated with their ability to generate free cash flow to either reinvest in a business, buy back shares, or give a dividend to their shareholders. If they can't do that, they're valued lower over time. And by the way, there's 100% correlation there. Nobody needs to argue with me. That's just the facts. And they run it up ahead of time.
Yeah.
And then you get a roll. In fact, the average sell-off in the stock market on a rate cut, the average over the last 50 years is the stock market goes down 28%. And the long bond goes up 31%. So write that down. TLT will be a place where you're going to want to put your money in a downstroke of the stock market. We've been pushing,
and you'll know that once it turns, the downturn, or before the downturn, or just how will you know
the day he cuts rates.
The day he cuts rates,
you better be in TLT.
Be in the TLT. All right.
Yeah.
And explain the TLT to folks.
TLT is the 20-year bond yield. And what happens is that the bond has a yield associated with it, but it's a long bond. So when they start cutting the shorter duration rates, which that's all really the Fed can control, the interest rate on the long bond goes down. So it makes the ETF called TLT go up in value. You get the dividend that the dividend that they pay. And then you also get the price appreciation. So every time it does that, last time it did that, TLT went up 40% during the COVID crash, went up 40% during the great financial crash. So that's one of the ways you protect yourself in the down market. And it'll start moving probably, I think the Fed meeting's the middle of September. It'll start moving, it's already starting to trickle now, but retail will start buying it probably 2 weeks before the Fed meeting. And that's when you should be taking your position.
So about the 1st of September, you should be trying to get yourself in position, getting over there.
Yeah. Our customers are already well on their way positioning it. because there's certain ways, certain strategies that we have that you could actually generate dividends on that ahead of time. And so too complicated to explain in here, but there's different ETFs you can do. And we pass those on to our clients so that they can be already building a position, grabbing the cash, and waiting for the big move. So that's one area that you have to be really concerned about. The good news is that if you're gold and silver bug going into the a rate cut, it usually holds, and then they get worried about the banking. Bitcoin usually holds, and Bitcoin's is pushing up again too. Made an all-time high, and it's gonna manifest itself through that high over the next 90 days, and actually over 100,000. So there's trades that people set up for that as well that are very profitable. I sent you some attaboys. People are making some really good money on these trades because not only Bitcoin, but Bitcoin miners, Bitcoin proxies, Bitcoin ETFs. And so there's a lot of ways in which you can make money with Bitcoin in the stock market. And we show people how to do that as well.
Yeah. One guy says, you guys are the bomb. I've been in shares and calls on Wolf since the initial price target of near $2 for ETFs. It could possibly leave me, he said, with 10K a month. Trade Genius is legit. Just, in other words, you're telling people this market is going to correct itself, because and I take it, and I'm not sure, of course, that inflation has something to do with driving the stock market up, because there's a lot of money, but at some point it has to correct itself. And let me ask you this question, Bob. The election coming up, I mean, obviously there's usually always an October surprise. Is that why you want also, besides this Fed's lowering the prime interest rate, do you also anticipate an October surprise in this year's election cycle?
Well, the market is thinking about that. So it's one of the reasons why we sold off today in the stock market is that people are positioning what they call their risk hedges are being put on right now. And those are all the way out to October and November. So it starts to affect the market now. Although I think we're still going to wiggle up and down for the next 6 to 10 weeks. But come September, October, the market will be in I wouldn't call it bear market zone, but it'll be highly protected. And I want to address your inflation question. Inflation is good for the stock market in the very beginning when they're raising rates to combat it, because there's more money coming into the bond yields. But once inflation takes hold, it's very, very bad for the stock market. Look at 73, 74 to 78. Stock market really struggled because remember, input costs are rising faster than your customers' ability to pay for the pass through. So people just don't buy stuff. So you get a collapse in sales. So inflation is only a short-term gain. Don't let anybody fool you when they tell you, hey, they can raise prices. Sure, I can raise prices on my service all I want.
Doesn't mean it's good.
Whether you want to pay for it, okay?
Same thing happening out there in the retail markets. People only have so much money. If inflation prices go up faster than people's salaries, something's going to give. I mean, they got to pick and choose. You pay the rent, or do you eat what goes out? I mean, it affects, and I think we've about tapped out this inflation. Don't you think?
Yeah. No, so for sure. And right. So people only have so much money. They have money and credit, right? And we know they tapped out their credit for the most part. You got to also remember everybody's not equal. So the people that are benefiting from a rising stock market are upper class and rich, right? Everybody else is having a standard of living adjustment down. And they're the primary drivers of sales for customers, for companies. So in the aggregate, those companies are going to start to suffer. You're already seeing it. PepsiCo's been flat. Nike, it sucks. Even some of the luxury brands like Burberry down 60%. So it's really affecting everybody. And it's just going to get worse. Remember, it's food, it's rent, it's healthcare, and it's transportation. Those 4 things get covered first. And you know what? And the housing market and the auto markets are already suffering as a sector. Okay, so we're due for a big one. And the way you look at it, judging by them taking a shot at Trump here last week, The left is not going to give up power easily.
No.
And if Trump gets elected, which I think is now probably the betting pool says so, is that he's going to be just fought tooth and nail by the crazies. And it's just going to cause an issue for 25. Now, I'm not going to get into politics. I think Trump's much smarter this time. He'll have different people, blah, blah, blah. People are sick and tired. You just have to look at what's happening in Europe right now.
Right. Yep.
Is that I think there's a wave, but that wave causes destruction. Okay.
Yeah.
These are called fourth turning events. But we don't care at Trade Genius because there's ways you can make money when it goes up, ways you make money go down. And the one thing I want to tell you about, which is amazing, absolutely amazing. I didn't believe it at first and started trading it myself. But there's these high yield products out there from a company called YieldMax YieldMax that goes, they create an ETF against the stock. So they have one against Disney, one against Apple, one against ExxonMobil, one against like MicroStrategy. And what they do is they create a synthetic position using calls and puts, buying and selling, that creates a yield, which they give to their investors every month. These yields are on the low side of 20%, on the high side of 120%.
Wow.
Annualized. And so, but they follow the price of the ETF, generally follows the price of the stock. So if it stays in a certain range, you're just collecting massive amounts of cash. If it drifts down, you don't want to be in that one. If it drifts up, you want to just stay in that one. But they just recently came out with one. They started with Tesla, and then they're doing it with Coinbase, where they have one for the long side, one for the short side. And if you balance it the right way, you can basically cancel out any movement in the underlying ETF, meaning your price is protected, and you're just collecting premiums on both sides. So we created an additional service as part of our service to follow these. And some of those attaboys you're seeing are from those that we're doing for people. We're just blowing people away. And then there's a way you can ratio those using our algorithm so that you can be properly aligned long and short. There'll be a total of 6 of these coming out this year. And so 2 of them are already out, and we're already positioning ourselves for those for our clients. And then we get to sit back and let the market do what it wants to do. And we collect really, really good premiums and
you're covered on both ends.
Yeah. It's not going to be perfect, but I would say your price can wiggle 10 or 15% either way, but you're collecting a dividend that could be 40 or 50% annual. I would take that all day long.
And in fact,
I put my own money in this and we created a strategy. I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah. And so what it does, and so what people are not sure what to do, this is why you need to pick up the phone and call 1-800-949-1408. That's 1-800-949-1408. Go to tradegenius.com. I think you got a promo code right now, summer.
Well, it's tradelikeagenius.com.
I just clicked
tradegenius.co.
Tradegenius.com. Yeah, tradegenius.co. Yeah, I've got that on there. So if you go there, folks, and you've got a 40% off on all bundles, promo code summer.
Yeah, non-bundled are 40% off. We have the other stuff is 65% off our normal pricing.
Okay.
And guys, I'm telling you, if you're a boomer like Paul and I, and you want to generate cash, you can you could dedicate 10 or 15% of your portfolio and generate quite a bit of cash from this stuff. And I'll give you an example from personally when I have about $220,000 in these products right now across like 7 different ones. In the month of July now? In the month of June, my payout was $13,000.
Wow.
Okay. And so that's
about 5%. That's across the board a month. Yes.
Okay. So, annualize that out. So, and that's, and we just wiggle around which ones we want to be in. And then we creating more and more of these pair trades as they become available. And you're going to be able to then generate more income from it. And we'll walk you through it. We already did a podcast on how it works, what we'd like to trade. And then we actually give the trades out so you could follow along with the trades and the pair trades I put out every day. So and just show you that how you should be balanced. And then you basically adjust the balance every month, keep that portfolio on an even keel, and just draw out these huge yields. It's just amazing. And it's not too good to be true. The rich have been doing this for decades. It's just that the regulatory environment has now allowed the retail people to be able to get a hold of these, and more coming. So yeah, come check us out, guys. It's a great deal. What we charge for our service is nothing. What you get out of it. Guy just sent me an attaboy today. On one trade, he made 27K. Okay, I charge him $1,000 a year for being in the service. I think he got his ROI out of me.
I think he came out all right. Yeah, I think he came out real good.
And that $1,000 on the high end of our offerings, by the way. There's cheaper ones. Okay. Yeah. And we put the trades out for everybody on these. So it's a really, really great opportunity for you.
So, and folks, and you go to Bob, you go to tradegenius.co, or pick up the phone and call them. Right now, you could, call when we get done here with this broadcast, 1-800 or just 800-949-1408. Yeah. This is a new tools then. I mean, you've been operating for years and years, doing very well, studying the market, studying the different stocks, the trends, but this is a new tool to let people get in on the both ends. I mean, isn't it?
Yeah, they've been out for a year. They've just been building every month. So last 3 or 4 months, we started communicating. We want to make sure it worked ourselves. And so, we want to make sure it worked ourselves. And now that I'm fairly fully invested in how much I want to put in these, is that I'm liking it. I liked it so much, just so you know, my brother-in-law did it. So I have family involved in this stuff. So I can't lose people money. Okay. So
right.
They, and it's just a great tool for people that don't want to sit there and stare at the stock market all day and want to earn up additional yield on these stocks. I mean, look, I have ExxonMobil as a family portfolio. I even bought more under this program called ExoMO. It pays a 15% dividend on ExxonMobil. 15%. ExxonMobil is not going out of business anytime soon.
No.
So, and so you have stocks like that in the portfolio of these yield max products. And so you can pick and choose based on your risk tolerances. And then if you're totally risk averse, you can buy these long short ones and just collect the yield. It's just it's amazing. And I think these are good to go. And they're just going to expand. More and more of these are going to come out into the future, and we'll help people through it. The other thing too, I'll mention, because I haven't done it too much before because I'm too busy, but I've been getting a lot of requests to do personal coaching for people. And so, if you want to, you can request coaching from me, and I'll do it. I limit it to just 10 people a month. And so you can actually request me, and there's a certain pricing code for coaching with me, and I'll help you walk things through it. It's not, none of my stuff is ethereal. It's really practical, and you'll be able to start training from it right from the coaching too. So if you're interested in that, you can do that as well. And then plus our signals are still there. And this is an absolutely incredible time because our service loves volatility. And we like when the market is moving up and down and doing crazy things because we think we're positioned right. Energy's up, gold and silver's up, Bitcoin is up. The stock market's going to roll over. Energy will probably follow it down. We get deflationary. Gold will be the last to fall down. And then when they worry about the banking system, Bitcoin and gold will go back up again. But in the meantime, you could be long bonds. You could be long these long short pair trades. You could be trading on the short side of these high yield products too, and you won't care. While your friends are freaking out, you'll be generating income and building wealth.
So you're feeling like Bitcoin could go over $100,000 within 90 days. Is that?
Yeah. Historically, after halving, you go through a period of time like 150 days. And then from there, you get a supply shock. We're in that zone. I put a stake in the ground July 22nd. My partner put a stake in the ground first week of August. I think we bottomed last week. And so from there, you're just going to see a steady grind higher. And once it breaks the new high again, it's going to go over 100K really fast.
Wow. I know several people that I've recently been talking to they have been focusing on the Bitcoin because they feel like that with the stock, because of where the stock market is and where gold is, and where the but and also where the interest rates are, they feel like, there's going to be definitely a market correction. Now with your tools, that's a good thing. Basically let it correct, because folks can make money on the way down, or they can make money on the way up. But Bitcoin might be the time, is what I'm hearing you say. What is it right now? 63 or 64 or
It hit 66,000 overnight and pulled back a little bit.
okay, okay. And I think and the all-time high, I think, was around almost 73 or maybe 73.
74.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Once it breaks 66, it's going to 74 pretty quickly.
okay, so it's on its way climbing now, and maybe within 100 to 150 days, this thing could go over 100,000. I know I've heard you talk about it going one day, going to go over $100,000. Back when it was like in the 20,000s. Like I remember this. I mean, this might have been 5 years ago, but it's done its big correction where it went up to like 40 and then fell down to like 200 or 2,000 or something. It's done that.
So it's gone to 20,000 to 3. It's gone then up to 60,000 down to 20,000.
Yep.
And we always get the hate mail, but you got to remember, the reason why people own Bitcoin is they own Bitcoin because of their concern that the banking system will not be able to function correctly in the future. That's why you own Bitcoin. It's also a currency in the sense that it's hard to produce more of them, so it has a scarcity effect. But it's easy to move around, and it's hard to confiscate. So you can move to Brazil next week, Paul, right? And your money's essentially in the U.S., but if you need it, it's essentially in Brazil. Okay.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's like quantum physics. Yeah. So all the benefits of gold with none of the detractions of gold. It's just that people have a hard time getting their arms around it. But look, they're make no mistake about it. As this recession hits, they're going to print like crazy, and you're going to want to own things that they can't print very easily.
And Bitcoin would be one of them.
Gold, silver. Yep. And
so what about the change of administration? Because I think everybody knows for pretty sure that there's at least a 70 to 75% chance that there will be a new administration, that Trump will come back in. He will make some big moves quick because he wants to drive inflation down. Would you agree? Is he going to put pressure on the Fed, or will he just back off and let it play out?
Trump does no problem with inflation. Okay, in fact, that's how you get rid of the debt, right? So this is what Trump's going to do. He's going to be drill, baby, drill. He wants to be the number one producer of energy in the world.
Right.
Okay. He's going to bring manufacturing back. Okay. Which causes wage inflation, by the way. He's going to put high tariffs on imports, which is going to cause inflation, by the way.
Yep.
Okay. And he's going to lower corporate and personal taxes on people.
Yep.
And what he's trying to do is he's trying to create, they call it a pressure cooker. Okay, we get it inside the United States. It'll create a velocity. Okay, it'll create higher paying jobs. It'll heal us from a manufacturing standpoint, but it will cause inflation. And what he's hoping for is an inflation that, when you have wage inflation and inflation, it's more tolerable than the inflation we're getting now. Okay, be that as it may, whether you like this or not, okay, it is the only way out. Okay. We can sit here and bitch and moan about going on the gold standard, balancing the budget. If they balance the budget tomorrow, where our country GDP will be cut in half. I don't think
that would be bad. That would be real bad.
Devastating, because everybody over 65 is not getting a Social Security check in that environment. Okay. Yeah. So, be careful what you wish for. I think people just don't understand. So the only way out of this thing is you got to lower the curve, right? And the only way you're going to do is you're going to have to get it out of the countries that have been exporting to us. And that's
so. In other words, the Trump doctrine is, let's not attack the inflation, the high prices. Let's just bring wages up to where it's at, and it will go a little bit, but but bring the wages up. And that's kind of what he likes to do, right? Stimulate.
But also too is where these jobs are going to go. It's going to move people out of the coast. So those rents are going to go down. If he does drill, baby drill, price of energy is going to come down. So there's going to be mitigating factors. Okay. And then you're just going to have you're just going to basically create a velocity effect to drive taxation. So that's the doctrine. That's what he wants. And then immigrants are gone. I mean, not immigrants.
Yeah.
Illegal immigrants are gone.
Yeah.
And he's going to change the immigration system to a merit-based system. So we can basically drain the world of their brains and bring them here versus them bringing their criminals to our country.
I mean, isn't that the right move? I mean, it's sort of like if wouldn't you want to get the best and the brightest of the world who want to come here, and you cherry pick them, you let them in. I mean, why would you want Venezuelan prisoners? I mean, why would you do that when you could select the people from all over the world, some of the best, the brightest, who want to come in here and be a part of this great nation?
Was that a rhetorical question, Paul? They do it because it's a control thing. You got to remember, there's two kind of people out there, right? There's the people like Trump that wants to have what's known as euphemistically a social liberal, society where everybody gets to participate, everybody gets to actualize, right? There's rules of law. Then you have the people that want to bring back the Middle Ages, right, where you have a caste system. Look, if you're rich and powerful, you don't want people to be bothering you down in the hoi polloi, right?
Right.
Leave me alone. Don't bother me.
Yeah.
I have my place in Long Island. I have my place in the mountains. I have my ski resort. I don't care if you're in the street getting shot, killed, or whatever. You can't get enough to eat. I'm really sorry for you. You lost the birth lottery, right? That's how a lot of these people think that are elites. So, and they can get to control you that way. Look, if I can get the black people against the white people against the Hispanic people, they're fighting each other. They're not fighting me, right?
Right.
So, and the only other way to do it is have everybody feel like they're participating, and then you get a just society that way. That's what we're fighting against. It's not against right or left anymore. It's against right and very, very wrong.
So sort of like India, because whenever I go to India, they got a caste system, obviously, and then they don't, the upper ruling class, they don't let the lower class people, they don't let them up. I mean, they discourage entrepreneurism except within their higher level, or what let's call the ruling class. Right. They don't even let them play. They won't let them play. And that causes massive poverty, really.
Right. Well, they're trying to recreate basically the medieval system that they had before, where you have the royal class, you got the political class, you got the merchant class, and you got the protectors, and you got everybody else. And that's what they've been trying to do since America's been founded. It's just that now we're at the edge, and it's either going to go one way or the other. So Trump loves the country. Does he have his faults? Does he say do stupid things? Yeah, but he has our best interests at heart. And so, but if Biden gets in instead, then we're going to have more of the same on steroids. Okay, and the rule of law will break down. So 2025 is going to be an interesting year. So it has to flush out. So you want to be positioned correctly. And look, as you know, Paul, we can't control really any of it. We can vote, we can pontificate. As Christians, we're not called to riot or fight unless we're defending our house and castle and our home, right, and our people. But other than that, we're kind of stuck to the who's in charge here until Christ returns. So, so we can't get so worked up about it. A lot of my customers are like a lot of your listeners. Everybody's angry and they want to do something about it. Well, just pray.
That's it. That's
God, it. God turns Trump's head. He showed his power here a little bit.
Yep.
Okay. And then you got Bezos, Ackman, Musk, and Jamie Dimon. All of a sudden are like pro-Trump. Okay, all Democrats.
Yep. They are all pro-Trump now. 100%.
Right? So remember, the spiritual war, God's moving his angels around now. So all we can do is pray. And if we do get Biden, is because God has a plan for that. But I'm personally praying for Trump, Lord.
Lord, oh man. Well, I'm with you. Okay, so we're definitely praying together, and I think a lot of our listeners are doing the same. It's quite amazing to me.
Yeah.
Let's face it, the assassination attempt. And by today, I'm just so frustrated when I heard the White House say we think maybe it was the Iranians that did it. I mean, there's nobody on this planet that thinks the Iranians were involved with this 20-year-old kid on this roof that had a slope like 5 degree, and saying we can't put a sniper there, but we got snipers on other slopes that are even steeper. I mean, nobody's buying this. So, but here's one thing everybody's buying, because I did several radio interviews today, that they asked me for my opinion and what can we do. And I said, here's something everyone can agree on. God saved Trump. And even if you aren't a believer, you'll say, you know what, that was divine providence. That was God. And that means, do you want to fight against God, or do you figure out which team you want to be in? I think people can see. And so, I'm praying with you, Bob. I'm praying with you on this. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, look, this is they can't get away with it when there are 7,000 iPhone cameras out there and multiple witnesses. Look, the guy bought ammo. Their parents called the cops on the kid. He bought ammo. He stole his dad's AR-15. He bought a ladder and he walked 1 mile and got on a roof and shot somebody. I mean, you can't make a movie up better than this.
No, you can't. I mean, we know that there. You know how many different possibilities of stopping and preventing that there was, and we look. So we know that everybody was turning their head. Everybody was setting this kid up to do it. Thank God that the Lord sent his angels out there to move that bullet.
Sorry, I got somebody out the window here blowing a blower.
All right. Hey, folks, get on the phone. You can call Bob. You can call him today if you want to, or certainly tomorrow morning, and get some coaching. Or get the tools that he has that get you in the game to start being. You can go slow. Let Bob train you. Let him teach you. Let him help you with the tools, and you'll be surprised what you can do. And Bob, I've known him a long time. He's honest as the day is long, and he'll really surely help you. So I appreciate it, Bob. I really do.
Yeah, no problem. I see you're wearing a Nike shirt. Nike also sales are going down too. So, yeah.
Somebody else beat me up on that. I was like, look, I don't know what to do. Do I wear Adidas? Do I not?
Oh, we don't care. You should just write on there. Yeah, just did it. So,
just do it and just did it. But yeah, Nike's struggling. You're right. Is that because China? I was going to ask you, China's economy. Do you think that thing's going to turn the wrong way? What's going to happen in China?
Oh my God, we can do a whole show on it. Look, China is imploding rapidly. Okay, and the Trump doctrine will actually put a death knell into China. Okay.
Yeah.
Because their economy their GDP will collapse if we really start to sanction, but tariff their exports to us. Okay.
Right.
But they're already Potemkin. Look, 30% of their GDP is really involved in real estate speculation. I just saw articles yesterday and this weekend about they're not paying their policemen and their soldiers, and they're having demonstrations in the cities. They're not invading anybody if their people aren't getting paid. So
right.
And then and we are in Korea and Japan, we are all arming Taiwan. Yep. And it would be the most bloodiest battle, that China would ever fought. And they would basically lose access to every one of their ports. They'd lose probably the Three Gorges Dam will get bombed. And speaking of Three Gorges Dam, it's overflowing right now. Okay. And the way they build these things, the number one export of China is corruption. Okay. And trust me, look, we bought their drywall, right, which was full of mold.
Yeah.
They put baby
food. Their dog food was killing our dogs and cats.
They put what do you call it? Baby powder and milk powder. I mean, anything they could do to steal for themselves. And now they're stealing internally from each other, and they can't even pay their own people. So that place is hurting. But if that dam goes, they actually evacuated Hubei. Okay, that is that river valley. I think it's on the Yangtze or the Yellow River. I forget which river that the Three Gorges is on. You know that there's 40 million people in that valley. Okay, that would have to be evacuated. 40 million people. That's like 15% of the United States population in that valley, and it could affect up to 400 million people if that dam goes. Um, there's big trouble. I mean, that produces a lot of electricity, and it would wipe out all those cities down to Shanghai. Okay, and
It'd be a disaster of beyond biblical proportion. If that,
yeah, and I think it's biblical too. I mean, you're seeing we're getting these floods everywhere now. We're going into a global solar minimum. The big one
Yep.
in 2030. So yeah, it's a big issue. We should all, if we're listening from UNESCO, you should get on your knees and thank God you live here, because God blessed us geographically that
Amen.
one part of our
Amen.
country could be a mess and the other part's getting an overabundance. And where China's not that fortunate, because they're a more landlocked nation, they get, excuse me again, a famine in one section could be a famine everywhere. And
Yep.
so and then our neighbors, Canada, to the north, which has also very good farmland. So,
Yeah.
so we're very, very fortunate to where we live. So China's not so lucky, and that's the reason why what they're doing is not sustainable. They'll never be the United States ever.
No.
It's just the nature of geography. There's a great book that talks about it, why countries are blessed and why countries are not based on geography. So yeah, so I don't worry about China at all. I think Trump will do a retrenchment with Russia, to cut a deal and
the war. He'll end that war. Yep.
In that war, and then
is he going to tackle the Middle East? Do you think he's going to get in there and tackle that as well, or what? No.
All you really do is threaten the Shia, right? Because they're the only people. They're the only people in the world that I fear as a human, because they believe what they're doing will bring in the 12th Mahdi, right? So if they get a hold of nuclear weapons, them popping nukes to end the world that is the end goal for them, right? But for us, rational people, and I would put Russia and China as rational people.
Sure.
They're not going to pop nukes because they know nukes are going to come back their way, and then they don't win. Where those folks, their religious belief is, then it ushers in a new age.
Yeah.
And so you have to be very, very concerned about the people in charge of that country that truly believe that stuff. And because I think if they did, they would pop a nuke into Jerusalem in a heartbeat, right?
If they could.
Yep. If they could. But I think we'll have an Ezekiel 38 before then. But anywho, we digress. But the bottom line is we're stuck here. Let's trade. Let's make money. Let's take care of our family. And we can have a calmness about it.
Amen. Amen. Bob, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Everybody appreciates it. Guys, check out his website right there, going across the screen, or call him and find out what the genius can do to help you in your financial needs. So, Bob, thank you so much. It was wonderful to have you today.
Yeah, it was good. We finally hooked up, and we should be good to go next month now. So, get our schedule coordinated. Thanks, Paul.
Yep, we'll see you next month. All right. And folks, I hope you've enjoyed this installment of the coming apocalypse. Economic October surprise. Well, Bob says, don't worry. You can be protected up or down. So check it out. God bless all of you. I'll be back with more right here on the coming apocalypse. And don't miss tonight's Getting Ready show. I'll be co-hosting that with Israel Hall tonight. God bless all of you.